Is the Put It in the Game podcast. This is the Put It in the Game podcast.
Yes, yes. Or should I say no, no. This is the Put It in the Air podcast. Welcome in, everyone. Once again, I'm your host, Brendan Casello, a.k.a. East Coast Virus, looking sick.
And I'm your handsome and congenial host, Pascal Rawls Philippe, a.k.a. Punk Sindrublik.
Julia hates that every time she hears the show. She's like,
Yeah,
you
I know.
mess it up again?
At this point, I'm just going with it because I did it the first time, but maybe one of these weeks I'll say it properly.
It's all good. It's all good.
I do know my own team name, just for the record.
It sounds like you're a drunk in private.
Well, that would be accurate.
That would also be covered on our other podcast, Getting
Drunks.
Help, on Monday, Tuesday. All right, guys, here we are once again. Put it in the air for everyone who won this week. Not us.
Yeah.
We got killed again,
Damn it.
dude.
I know, it's really bad.
Pascal put up 80-something. I put up 70-something 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, it's pretty pathetic.
We
I'm
got
not going to lie.
we got some big fans in the league right now, loving the fact that we're sucking and have a podcast. It's pretty incredible.
I felt really good about my team after weeks 1 and 2. And now I want to burn it down and go play pickleball.
I guess I have that over you. I mean, I would like to play pickleball too.
I wonder if there's a fantasy pickleball league.
I mean, if there was a, professional pickleball league,
I mean, I'm taking someone's grandma if there is.
I would probably beat you then. So my team doesn't seem like it needs to be burned to the ground. It just needs to be flipped over. The sheets need to be changed. Like the starting lineup's dirty and the
Yeah, the
reserves
problem
on the
with your
bench.
team is not your team, it's you.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
the person who drafted all
No.
the good and the bad.
No. Your draft was fine. You just really suck at knowing when to play the right players.
Yeah,
And I feel like I mentioned this week 1 or week 2.
it was week
that
one.
you were going to continuously play the wrong people.
It was
And I'm sorry I said that
Listen.
because it's playing out.
this week was the worst example of that. I mean, my
It was
bench,
really bad. It was really, really bad.
my bench almost doubled up my entire score. And think about it, your starters, there's a lot more positions. I think it's 11 maybe. And we have 7 bench players, and one of my bench players only had 3 points. The rest of them put up like $140 or 50 or maybe 60. I don't
So
even.
your bench could take up every slot except for the quarterback, the kicker, and the defense. So
Yeah, I don't have a quarterback on my bench, and I still put up those numbers. That's what's
Yeah,
wrong with my
that's
team.
really bad. That's
Which
really
isn't
bad.
a
I feel
big-
bad for you. I was
it's-
looking at
it's
it
not a big
and it
problem.
was funny. It was funny, but I still feel bad for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of feel bad for you, Pascal, because in the "What are you doing" segment, I'm gonna ask you, why did you bench your starters Xavier Worthy and Rashad White for the likes of Mike Williams, Roshan Johnson, and Pop Douglas?
I mean, all right. So
We're gonna be here all day.
honestly, it kind of made sense at the end of the day. I took out obviously Devontae Smith because he was hurt, and then Xavier Worthy just had not been playing well. He had been putting up like 4 or 5 points a game.
Yeah,
he had the
we'll
good
highlight
first
him
week,
today.
but he didn't have a lot of targets. And Pop Douglas, he got like 7 targets last week.
Yeah.
It looked like they were making a concerted effort to make him the focal point of the passing game. And so I wanted to take advantage of that. And his 4 points showed that I was dumb.
I mean, I looked at the
But taking out Rashad White and putting Bucky Irving in was smart. Bucky got 12 points. Rashad got 10. And I didn't want both players on a tandem backfield.
yeah, that doesn't make sense.
So he wasn't going to go in. Roshan Johnson, he had been building up steam, and there was a chance that he would have had the game that DeAndre Swift had, but instead he didn't. and he had the game that Roshan Johnson had.
It
Mike
hurts.
Mike Williams, kind of the same thing. He was building up. He's coming off injury. He's starting to build a rapport with Aaron Rodgers. And honestly, the amount of looks he got in the second half, it looked like that wasn't the worst idea on paper. It's just that he also had to play the first half, and he put up a goose egg in the first half. So,
I mean, I just find it wild that it's week 4 and you put in players that you literally just added to your team, like 4 of them.
yeah, I mean,
Including your quarterback.
and it wasn't the worst move.
It just
Jalen
wasn't
Hurts, I know it's
good
odd.
enough. I know. No. You don't have to
It
explain
wouldn't
yourself.
have mattered.
For
It wouldn't have mattered.
for this segment, what are you doing? It's not even for you to explain yourself because typically it'll be about other teams that don't get a chance to say anything
Right.
unless it's the chat or you could talk in the comments. But
No, but I mean, I think that this is a good opportunity to show how you should be looking at your team. You might have superstars like Jalen Waddle, but if they're not doing anything with Skylar Thompson,
yeah,
then there's no point in starting them.
it was a bold bunch of moves, and I can't say too much as I should have completely swapped my team with the W sitting on the bench. So
Yeah, the only move that ended up being a bad move was Pop Douglas over Xavier Worthy, but that came on a lucky touchdown anyway. So I
not
don't
even
feel
lucky.
too
Just
bad.
If home run hitter. If he's gonna
Right, lucky
he's gonna
that it
be up and
came
down.
this week and not a different week. That's
Yeah.
more so what I mean.
That makes sense.
But either way, my team is not very good right now, and I would have lost no matter what I did.
I gotta be honest. Looking at your lineup this week, I was like very surprised. I was like, where have I been? I thought I was paying attention. What's going on? And speaking of paying attention, Aggie, Marv, and Babalu, we still need your draft grades. So if you guys could just send those over,
Really?
so we can
Still?
yeah. I haven't been harping on them just on the podcast.
Now,
so.
Aggie, I don't know if he listens, so whatever. Marv, I know you listen. So what are you doing? Are you scared? Like it's some fake grade made up
you're
by
in first just because
NFL.com
it says,
AI. Like,
just
come on,
because
man.
it says you're gonna finish 8th. Like that's you're in first, dude.
Yeah, I mean, you might still finish 8th. This is fantasy football. Anything can happen.
You still make the playoffs at 8th, so I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah.
And want to give you guys an update on the 5-37 bet. Obviously, in our league, I fell very short.
How far?
Lost by about 24. It's not even that bad.
That's
I had the
not
worst.
that bad.
Yeah. There's a lot of moves I could have made. Moves that would have won it for me, like putting Kenneth Walker in instead of Calvin Ridley last night. It would have been a
we were
31
talking
point
about
sway.
that last week too. You
Very
were
annoying.
You were sure that he was not the right move.
Well, I don't think he was. I was surprised. I mean, it was the number 1 run defense, and he's coming back from an injury, and his backup proved that he was a good backup, so he proved that he'd get some more work. So I didn't expect to see Kenneth Walker on the field for more than like 10 touches, 12 touches.
Yeah.
The dude,
What did he have? Like 18 rushes for.
I just looked at his fantasy score at the end. I know he scored 3 touchdowns and caught the ball several times and just killed it. It was just hard to look at afterwards. I mean, it looks good.
What we
but-
have at our disposal.
Oh yeah, we have
the
all
internet.
all the data. That's right.
Yes,
So, yeah,
yes.
we can
Let's
answer
see
that.
exactly how badly you messed up with Kenneth Walker, because I know I was watching that and
Oh,
I was just
I
cracking up
switched
because
him-
it's almost as if it's made for TV at this
dude,
point.
I switched him out with the in the flex because I had Amon-Ra and Jackson Smith and Jigba in the wide receiver spot, and I had Calvin Ridley in the flex, and I switched him out for Kenneth Walker early in the day. And then when I got home before the games, I was like, you know what? Let me switch it out again. I feel like I want action in both games. I don't want to have too many Seahawks. I want to like spread it out. Obviously, it was a terrible move. Unless you had the kicker last night in the Tennessee game, like you sucked. Like, seriously.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker, 80 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, and 36 receiving yards. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
just
definitely nothing to poo-poo at.
yeah. I mean, you'll be seeing him in my lineup. So whoever's facing me this week, I think it's Sean. Stay tuned and get ready.
Well, at least Sean can feel good about the fact that you have no idea who to start week in and week out. So
I'm starting to
he has a
craft
good chance.
more of an idea. So
Are you?
yeah, a little bit. So I lost in the put it in the air league, dropping to 10th place and keeping the win total at 5. In the Lions Den, I put up a reasonable 119.26, but lost to the Pride of New Jersey and took another L, falling to 4th place in that league. Not too bad, 12-team league. The Family League, sad to say, I had David Montgomery and Jackson Smith and Jigba last night. I only needed I don't even remember how many points, but I lost by 5. So I was 0-3 this week.
0-3.
0-3.
Oh,
Just
wow.
like week 1. And then I also had a 3-0 week and then a 2-1. So now we're sitting at 5 and 6? 5 and 7? 5 and 7.
5 and 7.
Yeah, is that right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
you're
5 and
trending for under 500.
Hey man, I told you I could lose out for the rest of the season and we would be all right because I'd be 5 and 38 or 5 and 37.
We'd be all right if your basis for happiness is, did I do better than my crappy projection?
And Colin's looking much better to win that $5 for 9 total wins.
At least he'll win something.
I mean, I got to be honest though, my bench in the other 2 leagues each had 3 20-plus point scorers. So I'm
So it
having
really
that
is a
issue
you thing.
across the board.
It really has nothing to do with
But-
anything but your ability to pick the right
Yes,
players.
yes, but I have the ability to use that force later in the season, starting this week. Not all of it, maybe some of it, probably all of it. Who knows? I'll probably make the
so
wrong
far
decision.
you're 1 and 3 in picking the right lineups
In our league,
in our league.
yeah,
Okay.
and I won in our league against you barely. So I'm scraping the surface. I have the least amount of points. Wet fart of the week twice. Second to last week. I mean, it's looking rough.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
So
At least you know that the talent's on the squad. If you can just be a better GM, maybe you'll actually get some wins.
I mean, damn it. Let's move along.
I think that's a good idea.
It's in the air.
All right, guys, it's in the air. We have now moved the segment "It's in the Air" towards the front of the podcast because asking this week's biggest questions seems more important than burying it late in the podcast.
Probably.
So-
and it seemed like we were asking the week's biggest questions twice
Yeah,
and trying to figure out different questions for each segment.
the real movement of this came because we are trying to cut down the podcast time, and this probably will help. So let's get to it.
All right. All right. So I'm going to start this out with something that we've kind of been looking at throughout the year, and that is the passing numbers. Passing numbers are still down.
Really, I hadn't looked. I thought that they might have jumped a little bit.
Well,
Maybe
a little
after
bit.
last night's
They
performance.
did jump a little bit.
Good.
But that is the key word because
Small steps.
in week 4, we averaged 202 yards per game.
Hey, we broke the 2.
Yeah, not so great though.
Not very
so
good.
great.
Not very
Considering back in 2021, in week 1, we were averaging 270 yards per game. So we're still lagging. I wasn't able to find the week by week numbers going back. I found a website that I think I can get all the numbers through, but I've got to manipulate the Excel word spreadsheets. I've got to do a bunch of stuff. So I'm still figuring the best way to do that. But we're averaging 1.2 touchdowns a game passing.
Yikes.
Not great.
An entire game? Per team?
Per game, per team. Yeah.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
going to say, if it's not per team, whoa. That's
Yeah.
really low.
No, per team.
Damn.
And each team is averaging 0.7 interceptions a game. So that's not great, folks. The QBR is at 90, so that's all right. But
You know what I think it
passing
is?
is really, really looking pretty boo-boo. Even though we had Jared Goff setting a record last night
Oh, it
going
was
18
yeah.
for 18, 100% completion rate.
The Lions went 19 for 19 passing yesterday because even Amon Ra got that
Including Amon
100%.
Ra. And passing to Jared Goff, who got his first receiving touchdown in his career.
He's on the waivers, guys. I dropped him this week.
So
Feel free.
between Jared Goff and Jaden Daniels' outstanding rookie record of 91% completion, over 20 passes. I guess you have individual instances that are looking good, but overall across the league, no bueno, folks. No
not
bueno.
at all. I think one of the reasons might be because the era of the workhorse running back seems to be coming to an end. Like everybody's got 2 or 3 guys, and the quarterbacks are running too in most scenarios. And obviously, the defenses are just getting better and better, in my opinion.
Well, I think that there's something to that. However, I don't know if defenses are necessarily getting better. However, I do know that they are starting to focus on the passing game because most teams have really let their running game just go by the wayside, and it's not getting a lot of focus. And so if you know that defenses are geared to stop the pass, what do? You start to build up the run. And
Distract.
there's
them.
no point in beating your head against the wall and trying to pass against 8 people in coverage when you can just run it down their throats. And so I think that it's part of the cyclical nature of football. Passing was the end-all be-all for the last decade and a half. And as defenses started to catch up, now offenses are starting to move back in the other direction.
It's interesting, man. My question relates to this, and it's more focused on the Ravens. And my question is the Ravens' running game completely erasing their passing weapons? I mean, they have killed it in the running game the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, 15 passing attempts and 45 carries.
Wow.
That's like unreal.
Unheard of.
This week, they blew it out again with the run. They ended up with 34 rushing attempts
Wow.
and 14 passes. So
Wow.
very similar.
Yeah.
A little bit less running because they just went up and they just ran the clock out basically.
Now,
but-
I will say this. If you ask most Ravens fans, the idea of the Ravens having quote-unquote passing weapons is not quite accurate. Mark Andrews has been a beast the last few years, but they've had trouble drafting wide receivers. Rashad Bateman was a first-round pick.
Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers actually was one of their better wide receiver draft picks, but this year he's not really doing a lot. And Lamar has really done his best with not a lot of support around him.
Think about this. 14 passing attempts this week. 6 targets went to the running back Justice Hill.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
that's 8 to spread across Isaiah Likely, Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Nelson Aguilar. Even Derrick Henry got 3. So Derrick Henry and Nelson Aguilar were
11 out of
3.
14.
Yeah. Derrick Henry, Nelson Aguilar, and Justice Hill made up 12 of the 14 total targets.
Well, 19 targets, right? 14 completions.
Oh, yeah, 19. I'm sorry, yeah.
But still, less than 20
Ridiculous.
targets. That's like
18
what you do
targets.
for less than 20 targets. That's what you do for a rookie quarterback. That's not what you do for an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
But
It's
they're
looking,
winning.
They're winning, so it's working. So, yeah, it's not looking good in the Ravens passing game.
And I mean, Derrick Henry is probably going to be the last 10,000-yard rusher that this league sees ever, if not for a long time. And so, yeah, it makes sense. Run the ball.
Yeah, it's absurd. Wish I didn't have any of those players on any of my rosters, but
Well, I bet you wish you had Derrick Henry.
Babalu, Derrick Henry from Mark Andrews straight up.
Ooh, you got to think about that one.
It would be funny to offer that earlier in the season because maybe, I mean, I'd probably have to add a sprinkle of something,
Yeah. I
Like-
mean,
like
before
a-
week 1,
like a backup running back, like a,
no one would take that. I'm sorry. No one.
I mean, before the season, maybe.
Yeah, probably not.
Maybe-
But speaking of tight ends, though, like what's really going on with the tight ends? We're getting some good performances here and there sporadically for guys, but no one is
Random.
consistent.
random guys.
This week, my tight end, or let's put it the other way.
yeah.
This week, Sean's tight end
Gesicki.
was the highest scoring tight end in our matchup with 0.1,
and you
points.
goosed, right?
and I goosed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did
And-
too.
So it's just like there's a real problem going on with tight ends. 10, 15 years ago, the two tight end scheme took the league by storm with Gronk and Aaron Hernandez. And now at this point,
Wait, who?
Shut up. Now at this point, it's like you almost don't even need to throw the ball to your tight end. There's no point. You might as well just get an inline blocker. What's going on?
What's going on, Likely? Come on.
So I'm wondering, is it because we've got young QBs, which is not really a good excuse because normally young QBs like to lean on the tight end, but backups due to injury, again, like normally you throw closer to the line of scrimmage and you throw to the tight ends. So I'm thinking that maybe it has something to do with the slow ramp up time due to limited practice. Tight ends usually take a lot longer to develop than the other skill positions anyway. But with less chemistry in the offense because of no preseason, no offseason, no one's playing in the preseason games, maybe it's just taking a longer time for these guys to develop chemistry with their quarterbacks, as well as the fact that the defenses are way more athletic. When you're switching over your defense from stopping the run or balance to stopping the pass, when nickel is your base defense as opposed to a 3-4 or 4-3, it's just you're putting more players on the field who are drastically more athletic than these tight ends, so maybe they just can't get open.
We're not even seeing targets, so yeah, they're not getting open. Or the pressure that they're facing, like when you have Aiden Hutchinson in your face, you're not able to get that ball out.
Well, but that's when you want your tight end, right? You want someone who's closer to the line of scrimmage, who's
Of
a
course,
big body.
absolutely.
who
Your
you can
tight
just
end
throw
or your
it to
running back,
quickly.
your outlet. But
Right.
a lot of quarterbacks aren't even having the opportunity to get that ball out. Throwing it away or getting sacked, and it's running rampant.
Maybe, you know what? I just thought of something. Maybe it's also the fact that tight ends and defensive ends are similar body types, and defensive ends get paid way higher than tight ends. So maybe just over the last 10 years, all the kids that are that size have gone on the defensive side of the ball instead of the offensive side of the ball. Maybe
That's
it's
really
just a
interesting.
talent drop.
It's not about the fame; it's about the money, right?
Yeah, totally.
And speaking of fame, Travis Kelce, he even is having a rough year. He had his best week this week.
Yeah, 15 points.
I played him in 2 leagues, so I felt it. But it felt forced. I read an article about how he is not mad, and he said that they need to keep doing what they're doing and feeding the guys they're feeding. Clearly, he had a separate conversation with Mahomes or Andy Reid.
Well, it might also have something to do with the fact that Rashee Rice was out for
That's-
basically the whole game.
That's very true. Yeah,
You know?
yeah. That's definitely something I didn't notice. Well, I did, but didn't bring up. This brings me to my next question. How do the Chiefs keep winning when they look like they need a proctologist? Like, they look like ass. They look like crap. They look okay. They don't look that bad, but they do not look like a back-to-back Super Bowl champion, a team that is anywhere near 4-0. They, in my opinion, they lost 3 of the games they played this season, but somehow I looked the next day and they had the W. It doesn't make sense to me. They're managing to win these games that they, out of the gate, look like they're getting destroyed. I think they were down by the Chargers 10-zipped this week, and they ended up winning 17-10 on some silent garbage. I'm getting mad. I don't even dislike the Chiefs, but obviously don't want any dynasty that is in the New York Giants to show face, or the Bears. I'm kind of like a childhood Bears fan. Bears.
So, as a lifelong Patriots fan, someone who saw the entirety of a 20-year dynasty, this is exactly how the Pats won for the majority of that time.
Oh God, don't tell me
And
this.
I think that it really just comes down to teams that know how to win ugly. And that's what the Chiefs are doing. It doesn't hurt that they've got Patrick Mahomes,
Or
who,
the refs in their pocket.
well,
I don't want to be that guy, but seriously,
even keeping the refs out of it, because it does look sketchy, but even keeping the refs out of it, this is what teams who know how to win do, right? They pull out wins in the end. And against teams like the Chargers, who, let's face it, they're a team that knows how to lose. They end up pulling it out in the end. And Pat can play badly for the entire game, but as long as they keep it close, that second half of the fourth quarter is where his ability to shine really steps up over everyone else, and they pull it out. Normally, seasons like this would end up with maybe a wild card or a division round loss for the Patriots. So we'll see how the season plays out for them.
This isn't
but
anything too new.
That's kind of just how it goes.
I think the Chiefs had a similar situation last year. They did not look great. They did not look outstanding.
Yeah. No
And they
one
won
thought
the
they were
Super
the
Bowl.
best team in the league last
They
year.
weren't. They got lucky.
Yeah, and honestly, that was Pat's worst surrounding lineup as far as skill positions go. But I mean, keep in mind, they probably have the best, if not one of the best, offensive lines in football. And everything starts in the trenches. And so a lot of people don't understand what they're looking at when they're watching football. And so they see, oh, no Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy's not doing well, Travis Kelce looks washed, they're going to be a bad team.
Pacheco's
But no,
out.
they have an outstanding offensive line. They've got a really good defensive line. That alone will propel you to wins in the NFL.
I feel like it's 60 minutes of garbage time every time I watch the Chiefs.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
So speaking of garbage, I want to bring up something that is not fantasy, that is not football, but is big for the world of sports. That is Pete Rose not making it into the Hall of Fame before he passed away. Pete Rose passed away yesterday, I believe.
Yeah.
This man had 4,256 career hits, 3,562 games played, 3-time World Series champ, 1963 NL Rookie of the Year, 1973 NL MVP, 1975 World Series MVP, 17-time All-Star.
Damn, that's like
But he was kept out of the Hall of Fame because he bet on games. And I feel like it's particularly important these days when all of these major sport leagues are as in bed with sports betting, sports gambling as they could possibly be. I think it's just disgraceful that it got to this point, when I think that it was pretty well believed that he never, or did he bet on Reds games?
he did.
He did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was banned immediately from all baseball activities. He was a coach as well
Yeah, he was a
for
coach.
a long time.
Yep.
I mean,
I think it's pathetic, considering that they're now getting probably billions of, maybe not billions, but hundreds of millions of dollars from sports gambling. I think it's disgraceful.
yeah, I think
And,
that we'll see a post-mortem
Yeah, too little, too late.
potentially. I mean, at least for his family and his legacy, you
Yeah,
know,
I'd be
because
pissed off.
17-time All-Star is like, anyone who's a 10-time All-Star is a shoo-in.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's your 10 years of being excellent.
Yeah, Pete Rose is
17?
no doubt one of the best baseball players of all time.
Yeah.
And him not being in the Hall of Fame is a travesty.
It really, you know, rest in peace to Pete Rose. It really makes Calvin Ridley look like an asshole. I'm sorry, it does. Yeah, Pete Rose.
Excuse me.
We hope you do make it into the Hall of Fame, into Coopersville, right? Cooperstown?
Cooperstown.
Right. All right, guys. Well, that brings us to...
Dude, what
happened?
happened?
I'm not sure, bro. But a lot of crap. Like waking up Tuesday, I'm not very happy.
Yeah, well, starting out, the boys at the G-Men. The Cowboys' dynamic duo did just enough to justify their paychecks, even though the defense is still in playoff form. Meanwhile, the New Jersey A-team has a new rookie superstar to run into the ground and not win the game.
As the Giants keep up with Dallas's pace, but Neighbors goes down when needed most as the Cowboys win in this injury fest, 20-15.
Broncos at Jets. The oldest QB in the draft is not inspiring any mile-high shenanigans throwing for 60 yards. Meanwhile, the oldest QB in the NFL looks like his fountain of youth was drank dry last week.
This defensive battle raised many questions about both offenses. And wait, the Broncos won 10-9?
Skull at the Pack. These Vikings are for real, and they can thank J.J. McCarthy's ligaments for that. Meanwhile, Jordan Love comes back early from injury and only needs the fourth quarter to almost knock off the class of the NFL.
Aaron Jones' homecoming is sweet as the Purple People Eaters stake their claim in the first half. The Pack stages a comeback, but the Vikings rip a second-half field goal to claim the W, 31-29.
The Aints at the Falcons. Everyone's favorite paper bag-wearing franchise has come crashing back down to earth after starting out the season looking like one of the best teams in the league. Meanwhile, the Falcons win despite none of their superstars playing like superstars.
Both of these teams are actually good as Atlanta sneaks past New Orleans by a foot with Young-Ho Koo, 26-24.
Eagles at Bucks. Like the Rams, the Eagles look pedestrian without their all-world wide receivers. Meanwhile, Baker is Mr. Keebler and Mike Evans is the tree.
The Pirates' booty proves much more effective than the tush push as Jalen and Philadelphia look hurt after 4 weeks. Tampa Bay 33, Philadelphia 16.
Bengals at Panthers. Finally, the Bungles play a team they can beat. Meanwhile, the Panthers are battling for the number 1 pick for the 3rd year in a row.
The Bengals get their first win, which very well may be their only win against Carolina, 34-24.
Jags at Texans. Trevor Lawrence has gone from generational prospect to Daniel Jones level prospect in a very short time. Meanwhile, CJ Stroud looks good enough and Nico Collins is very much for real.
Houston pulls off the comeback, which isn't saying much, as the Jags fall to 0-4, 24-20.
The terrible towels at the AFC Championship banners. Justin Fields shows the world that Matt Eberflus sucks at coaching, while showing his current front office they messed up elevating the trade from a 6th-round pick to a 2nd if he's their starter. Meanwhile, the franchise best known for raising banners for AFC championships is wondering if their 40-year-old gives them a better chance to win than their 22-year-old.
As Fields plays well, but Flacco's experience leads the Colts to victory, 27-24.
The Rams at Bears. Surprisingly, the Rams don't look like themselves without their 2 all-world receivers. Meanwhile, the generational wonderkind has lost his label to another rookie, but is starting to stack wins and good performances.
We were too swift to call the Bears bad as they handle the Rams 24-18.
Commanders at Cardinals. This year's 2nd overall pick has DC fans fondly remembering 2012 and another 2nd overall pick. Meanwhile, Kyler Murray can't wait for Call of Duty to come out later this month.
The division-leading Commanders command respect as the young man crushes the little man, 42-14.
Pats at Niners. As the Pats keep their rookie QB wrapped in bubble wrap, their offense looks like it plays for Foxborough High. Meanwhile, the Niners steamroll yet another inferior opponent.
As San Fran gets a few weapons back, as Ramondre fumbles again, and the Patriots look like Kayshon Boutte, 30-14 49ers. 30-13, sorry. They couldn't put up 14.
The Browns at the Raiders. The Browns flirt with mediocrity from the last couple seasons seem to have fizzled out with a whimper of sexual assault. Meanwhile, the Raiders found a team they're marginally better than.
As the Vegas defense blacks out the room like those curtains used at the spas and the Browns quarterback gets sacked. 20-16.
The Chiefs at the Chargers. Mahomes is sick of Tom Brady reminding him he won with average Joes, so he took out his own wide receiver one to prove he's the GOAT. Meanwhile, Harbaugh is reminded once again that this isn't college football, but he refuses to believe it.
Another poor performance and win by the Chiefs, who will not win a third Super Bowl in a row.
Really?
Chiefs win 17-10.
You're going to jinx us all? Really? Damn it, Brendan.
They won't win. They won't.
The Bills at the Ravens. Josh Allen didn't want to completely shake the overrated narrative. Meanwhile, questions about if Derrick Henry would fit the Ravens' scheme have been answered, as he's on pace to potentially be the last 10,000-yard rusher.
The Ravens' run game crushes the Bills and their own passing game. Hey, it's working. Baltimore 35, Buffalo 10.
The Titans at the Fins. The Titans catch a break as Connecticut's own Will Levis goes down injured, forcing the team to run the ball 40 times. Meanwhile, Miami's wonderkind offensive guru is held to under 200 yards of total offense.
These backup quarterbacks made little difference. It was all Titans defense. Good thing there was another Monday night game. Titans 31, Miami 12.
The Seahawks at the Lions. The overachieving Seahawks lean on 56 pass attempts from their journeyman quarterback instead of their 7-yard per carry, 3-touchdown run game. Meanwhile, the Lions are back to their buzzsaw ways, behind a perfect 18 for 18 from their afterthought QB.
Hey, we've got some offense. The Lions climb out of their hole and bring Seattle back to earth as both teams shine in this offensive grudge fest. Lions 42, Seattle 29.
Is anyone more pathetic than Mike McDaniel right now? Like, I'm sorry, but you are supposed to be some guru offensive mind. You've still got Tyreek Hill, still got Jaden Waddle, still got Devon Achane, but you're losing to the friggin' Titans?
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. And by the way, it's Achane. Did you know that?
No.
And also, it's not Young Hoku, it's Young Wei Ku.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think that's a funny-ass name, Young Ho.
Yeah, that's why I like calling him that. But respect to Young Wei, you're a killer in the league.
Yeah, he's that guy. I think he was on the Patriots practice squad at one point.
Damn.
And yeah, seeing them like cycle through kickers after the ones that they had on their team was disappointing. But Joey Sly, Patriots record, 63-yard field goal. At least there was something to be happy about.
Yeah, he actually helped put some points on the board for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a rebuild, so I don't really mind. A high draft pick or a win, they both look good for me.
I mean, my Giants, man, lost 20-15, but I left that game, even though I didn't go to the game. I left watching that game feeling pretty good. I was annoyed that they lost, but they had a chance to win it. I mean they were
you
looking
had to
pretty
feel
good.
a little bit uneasy when you saw Malik go down with a concussion.
Yeah, of course, but,
The way injuries are going this year, that's, you never know. That could be tough.
Yeah. Well,
But
he's got
concussions-
10 days to hopefully go through the protocol. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
getting a concussion in your 4th game in the league is just not a good. It's not how you want to start out your career. Hopefully, it's his last concussion because I want to see that guy ball out.
He will.
I mean,
He will.
the way the Giants do, the way they did with Saquon, the way they did with Odell was, let's just give our ball to our superstar as much as possible until his body breaks down.
Odell posted a comment about Malik Neighbors and said something about Malik Neighbors is the throw up emoji. And then I was like, oh, he's saying he's sick because you can't talk shit about somebody who's so nasty and has so many.
No, I mean, he's got to
Proven
love him.
targets.
He's his neophyte at LSU, like that.
But
they've got to be good buddies, I imagine.
He could be a hater. You never know. Sometimes the fame gets to your head.
Odell's not
Or
that
the
guy.
Bieber.
So
don't wanna-
speaking of injuries, it has not slowed down. We are still looking at significant injuries week in and week out to superstars. But
couple big ones this week.
luckily, people are also coming back.
Yeah.
All right. So at this point, we've got Tua, who looks like he shouldn't have been put on IR. He is symptom free, so he should be back week 8.
He's mad on the sideline though. I saw him. He looked so disappointed in himself. They started talking about it like, oh, he's got to feel like cruddy about himself. You know, like he's probably blaming himself for.
Would he be? He didn't put himself on IR.
That's what the announcers were
I mean,
saying.
I guess maybe he did by diving headfirst into Hamlin, but like
The announcers were saying that, so obviously, like, since they can read his mind and know everything
yes.
about.
Oh,
everyone.
the announcers, they know everything about what football players are thinking.
Shout out to
always.
Dan Orlovsky, bro. I love Dan Orlovsky farting on a hot mic, like still holding it down on Monday Night Football.
Not a fan.
Shout out to another awesome Connecticut QB. What's
Yeah.
up, Danny?
Orlovsky and Phil Sims. I don't know, man.
Oh, I
do
love
not
them
like their
both.
takes.
Love them
I
both.
do not. So Jordan Love came back earlier than expected and started the game. Played pretty well.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter, he really started moving.
I know Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks are happy about his return.
Yes, they are. Kenneth Walker came back.
Let's not talk about that. We already did.
T. Higgins, second week back.
Looked good.
Christian McCaffrey. Now he's got tendinitis in both Achilles?
I did hear though a positive note that he aims to be back early November.
Yeah.
So in a couple weeks.
So it looks like it won't really affect his ability to get back, but we were talking about one Achilles. So now two Achilles. Is that going to be something that can flare back out throughout the season?
Well, they probably evened him out in Germany. They were like, listen, we have to even out
Germans.
the injuries and we'll heal them both together.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Longfellow, that brings something very important. Jordan Mason's shelf life might not be as long as you would hope, so you might be able to wiggle a trade out. He's been performing great, minus 1 week. So I would definitely start looking at other teams and starting to craft a little
Yeah,
bit.
maybe you pick someone like, is it Aggie who's got Nick Chubb?
Yeah.
Right? Like maybe you look at someone like Aggie who has another player that's going to be coming off the injury
Or
report.
Keaton Mitchell, right? That's who you have.
Right, I've got Keaton Mitchell.
I've got CEH, which is another thing we actually hadn't even talked about.
But he should be back soon, though.
He was out for mental health reasons, which is why we didn't talk about him and the injuries.
Ooh, he's feeling bad about himself because he's not very good.
Yeah, well, that's probably what it was. He says he has PTSD.
I shouldn't be talking bad about.
Yeah, no, of course. You know, everybody has.
My apologies,
their own,
Clyde Edward Hilaire.
Yeah, everybody has their own mental struggles and things that they go through. So I do assume that it had to do with his NFL performance after coming in as such like a hot commodity off of the NFL draft 4 years ago. But it's a very interesting situation he finds himself in because, yes, Kareem Hunt did kind of take over that backfield this week. Carson Steele and Samaje Perine are kind of afterthoughts right now, but it's basically a four-headed cow now. You've got CEH potentially returning this week. So what can happen? Who knows? I mean, it really could.
Yeah, that's going to be risky. I think that backfield, the uncertainty on offense, I wouldn't be too excited about his return. But
that offensive line,
that
man.
offensive line.
That offensive
That
line.
offensive line.
Who else we got on
All
this?
right,
this
so
block?
Cooper Kupp, I believe that he started practicing again, but we're probably looking at about 4 weeks of ramp up to get him back to full speed. So we're probably still looking at about week 7 or week 8 for his return, and he still has that re-injury risk.
Mm-hmm.
He's, I think, 31 years old. So
Oh, and another thing about CMC, one more quick fact. They said he can start running on solid ground again. So
that's good.
I guess he wasn't running at all. So
Yeah, maybe running on in the water, maybe running on like padded surfaces.
or running
but-
in the air like he used to when he was the number 1 overall fantasy producer.
All right, so Deebo Samuel came back way earlier than expected and started the game and played well. Amon-Ra St. Brown playing his butt off. Evan Ingram still out. Raheem Mostert still out. We've got Justin Herbert, who started, didn't play so great.
He's a badass though to play through the pain that he endures. I mean, he's a tough dude.
No,
man,
you got to give him credit.
for sure.
And especially for a team that really just wants to run the ball, probably could have anyone playing quarterback for 1 week. I give credit to Justin Herbert for sure.
Keep running though.
Sam Laporta started. Najee Harris started. So guys that we weren't sure what was going to happen, they played.
Every single one of those guys was underwhelming, minus Amon-Ra. Debo was more of a decoy, about 10 fantasy points. All of them scored about 10 fantasy points besides Amon-Ra.
So now our new injuries. We have Christian Watson.
Not looking good.
High ankle. Yet again, an injury taking him out. He already was talking about how he had, I think, 20% of the muscle mass in his right leg than he had in his left leg. And so another injury. He's looking a little injury prone. It looks good for the rest of the Packers receivers.
It opens up that room.
He probably will be out until maybe week 7, week 8. Not good for him. Rashee Rice. It looked like a really bad injury, but with no news on the ACL tear front or ligament tearing front, that's probably good news for him.
Yeah.
Good chance he'll be out multiple weeks, but we don't really know. He could be out a few weeks. He could be out the whole season. We just got to wait and see on that one.
We usually hear about ACL tears being confirmed the night or the next day.
The next day, yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah.
If it's like for certain, it'll be that night. But mostly it's the next day after
I
the
do think
MRI.
that swelling can play a role in that. So
Yeah.
maybe he had massive swelling. We'll see.
It doesn't look good though. It doesn't at all.
Anthony Richardson looked like he had a hip pointer. He'll probably start the next game, but
Yeah.
he'll have some mobility issues. It's also looking like he might be injury prone. So even if he comes back, his playing style, like, it's not great being a power runner as a quarterback. We'll see how he does with that. It might help to wear some pads. Like, put some hip pads on, dude. Come on. I know you look cool without the pads, but it looks even cooler when you can play every week. Then we've got Devontae Adams. He's out with the hamstring. It might be more him not wanting to play for the team. It might be a legitimate hamstring injury. Either way, probably take about 2 weeks to recover. Might not be back till week 6 or week 7.
And an update: the team is not willing to trade him.
Yeah,
even though
they all say that.
Even though Antonio Pierce liked to post about a trade package for Devontae from a third party, so
Yeah, the team always says they're not looking to trade him, and then 2 days later you find out he's been traded.
Yeah.
So I take all that with a grain of salt.
trade him to the Giants.
We've got Bijan Robinson, who has a hamstring injury. Kind of
rough.
just looking at his practice participation. If he's a limited participant 3 times this week, then he has about a 60% chance to play, but it's a Thursday game.
Yeah.
So if he's a game time decision and he's your starting running back, yeah, keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, you definitely make sure 90 minutes before kickoff you're looking at that status.
Aaron Rodgers had a mild ankle injury. Looks like he's likely to play week 5, but
Thank
this
God.
is not good for a 40-year-old. His mobility was great against the Patriots.
He had
Put
like a
up big
14
numbers, played really well.
14-yard run this week I saw too.
This last week, though, he wasn't looking quite as mobile against the Broncos. He did have that 14-yard run, but I don't know, folks. He's 40. Tommy was the only one to really perform as a 40-year-old. We'll see how Aaron can do, but I don't know if I'd feel great as a Jets fan.
A quick mention on not feeling great as a Jets fan. I can't believe they lost that game. There was a stat that I saw early in the game, or maybe halfway through, early in the third quarter. Bo Nix was 7 for 14 or 7 for 15 for -7 yards. Like, what the heck?
So you're saying we all had more passing yards than Bo Nix
Yes,
did?
yeah. Well, at
Wow.
the end of the game, he actually pulled it off and threw 3 tosses to Cortland Sutton.
And ended up with
to win.
60 yards.
Is that all he got?
Yeah.
Because Cortland Sutton had 60 yards. That's
Yeah.
messed up, man.
So Bo Nix falling back to no Nix territory.
Yeah, really bad.
So now we've got Mike Evans, who has a knee and a calf injury. He's in that Thursday game, but it looked like he had a veteran rest day.
It's safe to say last week he had the same injuries. He was questionable all week. Him and Godwin both had questionable tags all week, and they came in and they conquered. And I think he'll be just fine.
Having the double injury is a higher chance of sitting out on a short week, but it's Mike Evans. I think it's against your best interest to doubt him at this point.
Yeah, he had that same double injury last week too. So.
And now we've got Nick Chubb, lastly but not leastly. He has returned to practice. They'll be ramping him up. He'll likely be back week 7, but just keep an eye out up for him. You don't want to count out Nick Chubb.
I feel like they'll slowly integrate him when he does play, so it's not looking like a direct home run like Kenneth Walker last night, but we'll see. And then you also didn't mention Will Levis. I know we mentioned him a little earlier. It kind of looked like an Anthony Richardson type injury, like something with his hip. He stretched out and ended up leaving the game, and they didn't even really comment on it much. Later in the game, I found out, actually. I was like, because there was 2 games, so I was flipping back and forth, and obviously the more important and better game was the one I had on.
Yeah, I didn't mention Will Levis because he is not really a fantasy impact, despite being a quarterback.
I mean,
I wanted to root for the guy because he's a Connecticut kid. He played in Madison, but
yeah, we'll
I don't
see.
know.
We'll see if he comes back.
He's Keyshawn Booty.
Yeah. He might as well go to the Patriots.
I wouldn't mind that, actually.
Yeah, it would be cool to have a cool backup from Connecticut.
Yeah, have him and Joe Milton. They could really launch the ball.
All right, guys. Well, that's the injuries for the week. Now we're going to cover the Put It in the Air matchup results. Do you...
No.
Yeah,
We're going to do the pun down.
we did the pun down.
Oh.
Dude,
Duh.
what happened?
Oh, no. I should have smoked before this.
So the matchup results...
All right.
Why don't you start?
All right.
Why don't you start?
This week, we had Punk Sin Drublick versus Captain Cannabis. In the battle of the handsome and congenial podcast host versus the curmudgeonly podcast fan, the fan of soft sensibilities made good use of his advanced knowledge and took down the vaunted host. Behind stellar performances from wide receivers Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk, and rookie Ladd McConkey, Captain Cannabis was able to overcome underwhelming performances from QB Josh Allen and running back Travis Etienne. Punksin Drublick, meanwhile, has posted less than stellar scores 2 weeks in a row now, shocking the world by starting Mike Williams and Roshan Johnson in his flex. It turned out to be the right move, as his entrenched starters did not produce. Starting Pop Douglas, however, instead of Xavier Worthy was not the right decision, as Pop put up a measly 4 points compared to Worthy's 16 points. It wouldn't have helped, however, as Captain Cannabis's first win of the season was coming no matter what Punksin Drublick did with his roster.
Next match. G-Men's Crusaders.
Oh, you know what? I didn't say the points. I scored a very, very pathetic 89.3 points, whereas Captain Cannabis put up a not so great but winning score of 111.9.
Next, the G-Men's Crusaders facing off against Steal Your Face Mask. This week's only nail-biter came down to the wire Monday night. Despite posting 2 goose eggs with Rashee Rice's injury and Jonnu Smith's regular output, G-Men's Crusaders benefited from their first-round pick, Derrick Henry, posting a whopping 35.9 points. Brian Robinson's 20.3 and Younghoe Koo posting 18 also helped him claim victory. For our commissioner, Steal Your Face Masks, underwhelming performances from Garrett Wilson and Amari Cooper with 7 points each, and the Cowboys' defense against the Giants with 4 points. What are you doing, Billy? The Giants are actually better than we expected. It really held him back. It's almost like the G-Men knew their Crusader would need a little help in the box score to pull out this win, 133 to 130.1.
0.04, actually.
0.04.
East Coast Virus
Hey,
versus
guys, how you doing?
I Fucks Your Mom.
Ugh.
For this showdown between our other handsome and congenial podcast host, East Coast Virus, versus his bitter rival as far as team names go, I Fucks Your Mom,
Hate it.
East Coast Virus made the wrong move at every turn. If he had started his bench and benched his starters, he would have scored the second most points this week. Instead, he pooped in his own mouth and had the lowest score of any team. I Fucks Your Mom fucked his mom and pulled off the win despite having the fourth lowest score behind another stellar performance from rookie standout Jaden Daniels with 24 points and Travis Kelce's highest score of the season with 15.9 points. The rest of his team did just enough to surpass the 100-point mark. And I Fucks Your Mom wins 103 to 79.6.
You could have just said 80.
No.
I fell short. Next, we have Great versus Catch This Fade. In this week's most lopsided victory, our only team without a victory, Great, had no chance of winning by 4 p.m. on Sunday. Brandon Ayuk continues to make the San Fran front office look dumb for not trading him, while Christian Watson hurt his hammy and put up a goose. Josh Downs put up good numbers on his bench, but that wouldn't have helped him anyways. Catch This Fade, on the other hand, is on a roll, capturing his second weekly top score, even though nobody has been paid by me yet. Thank you. Behind stellar performances by Justin Fields, great ad, Malik Neighbors, great player, Nico Collins, great player. Catch This Fade is a team nobody wants to face at this point, as he wins 173.5 to 112.3.
Yeesh.
Yikes.
Boston Bulldogs versus the Auto Draftees. In a week where NFL superstars should have eaten a Snickers before the game, Boston Bulldogs failed to reach triple digits due to forgettable performances by Breece Hall with 3.8 points and Patrick Mahomes with 13 points. 0.8 points from Gabe Davis didn't help, but no one on his bench was bringing him a win this week, as the Auto Draftees did just enough to make sure it wasn't close. Fueled by another outstanding performance by Alvin Kamara and Aaron Jones, coupled with one of the top TE performances in Pat Freiermuth, the Auto Draftees never had to sweat it in this matchup, with the Auto Draftees winning 123 to 93.
And last but not least, the Millfuckers versus Salute Your Short Fellows. The Millfuckers was dealt his first loss of the season behind an outstanding week for Salute Your Short Fellows. Bijan Robinson put up a lackluster 11, which might have had something to do with it, but the hamstring popped up on Monday's injury report, while the rest of his team put up a pretty good number. Just not as good to overcome the short fellows. 23 points from CJ Stroud, 24 points from Jordan Mason, 23 from Mike Evans, 27 from Jordan Reed. Alec Pierce over Rashid Shaheed didn't pan out, but it wouldn't have changed anything, as Salute Your Short Fellows falls short of the weekly high score. Salute Your Short Fellows 154.9, and Scott's team, the MILF Bangers, 128.3. I've reached my quota of swearing, so
Yeah, the FEC reached out to you?
yeah,
You got that letter?
Yeah, they said stop it, stop it now. All right, guys, that was our rundown. I'm very happy to be done with that.
Yeah, it was a pretty funky week with some really high scores, but a bunch of really crappy scores.
We're just gonna have to tell you about all the top performers next. Superlative rundown is what we got. So our superlative rundown goes like this. Best quarterback of the week, newly added Justin Fields with 31.98. Great ad, Marv. Top running back of the week, Derrick Henry with a 35.9 burger.
Whoa.
Damn.
Whoa.
You know, he was followed up by Kenneth Walker, 33 point change,
Ooh.
and DeAndre Swift, 29.5.
Ooh, I
both
hope
on my
whoever
bench.
had those guys started them.
No, I was holding them for later
Oh, okay.
when they
Yeah.
come back down to earth and score 3 and 6.
Save some room for later.
Yeah, well, I will. Best wide receiver of the week.
I'm gonna call you Augustus Gloop for the rest of the season.
That's the worst. I'll change my name if I don't win again. Nico Collins tops the wide receiver board with 33.1 fantasy points.
Eesh,
Re-
that's a
looking
lot.
good. Yeah, it might had to do a little bit with Tank Dell being out, but we'll see. I mean, Nico has been outstanding. I'm not taking anything away from
Stephon
him.
played well too.
I feel much stronger about Nico.
Well, yeah.
Tight end of the week. Break out your depth charts, everyone, because Tucker Kraft was the tight end of the week for the Packers
Hey, get it.
with 17.3 fantasy points. Just another way to prove that tight end this year sucks.
Crapshoot.
The kicker of the week goes to Nick Folk in the Monday night game for Tennessee.
Ooh, former Patriots legend Nick Folk.
Player of the game with 23 fantasy points. And the defense of the week. Welcome back, San Francisco, putting up 22 fantasy points, looking like they did the last couple years.
Gotta love that D. Hey, yo.
Yeah, and it's probably had something to do with playing the team that they played.
So you can go after yourself. All right. How about that?
Hey, I lost too
So
by less.
the largest margin of victory, as we mentioned, was 61.2 points. That's like half of Brendan's bench.
It's like almost my whole score, actually.
That was Catch This Fade with 173.48 over Great with 112.28. Eesh, that's got to feel bad. Our closest matchup was G-Men's Crusaders with 2.96 points over Snatch Your Face Mask, scoring 133 to 130.04.
I have to say
Congrats,
that
Baba.
Babalu needs to thank the Seattle defense for pulling off that safety because he was down by, I think, 0.06, and the Lions could have just put the game away. Technically, there was enough time on the clock. There was still like just under 2 minutes, but they got that safety, and then Gino's first pass was to DK Metcalf, which Baba has a stack, so it was a clear win. Even though Gino threw a pick at the end, the fact that he threw it to DK was the seal in the coffin. So,
Like they say, whether you win by an inch or win by a mile, a win is a win.
a win is a win.
And whether you win on the turn or win on the river, you're taking that money, folks.
And if you lose, you lose. It doesn't matter if you bench the win.
So give them their flowers and $25.
At some point.
Catch This Fade. I don't know how many times we're going to need to mention him this week, but honestly, he just wrecked shop. So you get your $25, even though our bum of a second commissioner still has not paid our week one winner. Who is that? Who was our week one winner? Who scored the most points in week? Oh, that was me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And Billy, yeah.
I might play like crap sometimes, but I also play pretty damn good. But I'm in the crap right now. So
Yeah. Well,
I'm
you guys,
stepping in my own shit.
you guys will get your money. Sorry that it's taken so long. It must be a holiday somewhere.
Somewhere. And the wet fart of the week. Oh man,
Got
who's
some-
that? It's East Coast Virus with 79.56 measly points.
Taking a viral
Now,
shit.
I will say this. I have to give myself an honorable mention with this
Thank
because
you.
I was pretty freaking crappy too. And if you had just started one of your bench players, I would have been the wet fart of the week.
Take
so
a plunge.
I gotta
take a
take
plunge
some
in
of
the
that.
septic system with me this week.
So let's. Oh my god! I sharded myself. Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah, so did I. I just didn't want to do it on the mic, on a hot mic.
I sharded myself in public against the guy that I was talking crap to all Sunday.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. I get to face him this week, so
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be talking crap again next week.
hey, we'll see.
Keep it moving.
Keep on the line.
Sorry, I was singing along.
It's the keeper alert.
The keeper alert. Welcome back to the Keeper Alert, guys. We're going to start off, even though we already talked about injuries, we're going to talk about keeper injuries. The ones that are remaining from the earlier weeks would be Raheem Mostert and Puka Nacua, who are still out from their Week 1 injury. Isaiah Pacheco, who's still out from his Week 2 injury. All of the Week 3 injury players have returned to play this week. And we have 2 new guys to put on the injury bracket. Jonathan Taylor, Billy, steal your face mask, has a knee injury, and George Kittle left again. So he's been added to the list again.
I don't think I mentioned either of them in the injury report.
You didn't mention Jonathan Taylor. That's like one of the biggest injuries of the week.
Yeah, I mean, his injury came at the end of the game.
It's a big deal.
It does look like he'll be out a few weeks. So,
and it does look like today is when waivers run. So, he's going to be the hottest ticket item on the ticket.
Yep, Trey Sermon.
Great.
Hey, yeah. Just make sure Billy doesn't get him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he won't.
Not to talk against anyone in particular, but I think that year in and year out, Billy is the scariest squad to go up against. My Week 1 opponent every single year.
And Billy's got the sturdiest keepers. I would, in my opinion, he's got the 2 workhorse running backs that are just so sturdy. Except one of their knees gave out.
Now, I will say that Billy is in, I think, 9th place or
Billy's
8th place right
8th.
now.
Yeah.
So
Sean's in 9th. I'm in 10th. You're in 11th. And Colin's in last. This is very lopsided, flipped upside down
from what normally is.
Yeah. It's pretty cool though. It's good. It's nice to nice to have a little variety.
I like the parity. I think that that's what we need to be going for in this league. And if keepers help to bring that, then I think it's good. I mean, we'll have a much more enjoyable season by having all of our teams in the mix.
Yeah. And then this week's benched keepers that were benched, would only go to Rachaad White. So, Pascal, you're the solo keeper benched keeper.
I will say you would have been better off if you benched your keeper, Mark Andrews.
I did earlier. I actually benched him the only week he outperformed Isaiah Likely.
Yeah.
So,
and then you picked up Taysom Hill and benched his 14 points.
Yeah, in the first quarter
before
he left with injury. Yeah, I know. And then the keeper of the week goes once again to Nico Collins. Killing it. You're a killer. Anyways, we'll have to go. Speaking of killers, let's have Pascal go over the winners keepers.
All right. This week, week 4, we have Salute Your Short Fellows. Salute your short fellows.
Am I supposed to say something?
Yeah, you're a winner.
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
the hell you say.
Oh, yeah. Winner.
There you go. Damn it.
Sorry, I thought we were supposed to make fun of Mike there, but I was trying to abstain.
We're just supposed to, stay on point and remember the things that we're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You got to write it down next time.
That's all right. One mistake for each of
Winner.
us. We both have an error on the books. All right. So, Mike Longfellow. CJ Stroud scored 23 points as expected, as compared to the expected 19. George Kittle scored 14 as compared to the 11 for 7.6 points over expected. Well done.
Nice job.
I fucks your mom. Got Deebo Samuel scoring 10 as compared to 13. And Zay Flowers scoring 2 as compared to 14. That is 14.6 under expected. Not so great.
Not sure
but
how
you
he
still
won.
won.
Not sure.
You
Not
still
sure
won.
how.
It helps you play.
It really hurts.
Next, we have Catch This Fade with James Cook scoring 5.8 points
Yikes.
as compared to 12.7. How do you win? But with Nico Collins scoring 33 as compared to an expected 17. That is 9 points over expected, but Nico alone scored 16 over expected. Kudos, my friend.
Beast.
Kudos. Next, we have the Auto Draftees.
Winner.
Alvin Kamara put up 25 points as compared to his expected 18, and DJ Moore put up 11 points as compared to his expected 13. That is 5 points over expected. Well done,
You're in the
Frank.
green.
Then we have G-Men's Crusaders.
Winner.
With Raheem Mostert still out, 0 points. And Sam Laporta putting up 9 points as compared to 10 for 1 point under expected.
On your bench.
You still won. Then we have Captain Cannabis
Winner.
with Puka Nakua still on IR. But the rest of your team did enough to beat my stank ass.
Just enough.
Congrats.
Speaking of stank ass, Pascal's team. Punkson Drublick.
Loser.
Yes, he finally admitted it.
I mean, I'm a
So
loser.
Pascal had Rashad White, who put up 10.4, which was a half a point under his projection on his bench, with Devon Achan putting up 5.9, which is 9.5 points under his projected score. He probably would have been better off putting into Rashad. Pascal's falling short 10 points on his keepers.
Yeah, it wouldn't have made a difference.
Next, we have great.
Ya loser.
With Isaiah Pacheco still out and on IR, and Brandon Ayuk putting up a measly 6.8, which is 9.2 points under his projected
No
value.
bueno.
Damn.
That's what happens when you go up against Christian Gonzalez.
It's pretty tough. Next, we have East Coast Virus.
Ya loser.
With Kyler Murray, who put up 9.98, which is 9.5 points under his projection, and Mark Andrews putting up a second consecutive goose, which is 8.9 under his projection. East Coast Virus falls super short this week, putting up 18.5 points under his projected scores.
That's gotta hurt.
Oh, it does. The next up is the MILF Screwers.
Ya loser. Ya milf fucker.
The MILF Screwers, the MILFs. MILFs? Anyways, Brock Purdy put up 14.62, just falling shy of his projection by 2.6 points. And Drake London put up 12.4, respectable, about 1.35 under his projection. So Scott falls about 4 points shy of his projection. It's not too bad. But you lost. Next, we have Steal Your Face Mask with Jonathan Taylor
Ya loser.
getting injured, but still putting up 19.8 prior to leaving the game, which is 5 points over his projected score. And then Kyron Williams with a straight up 20.4 points, which is about 6 points over his projected score. Billy finishes the day with just shy of 11 points over his projected value.
Not bad, but you still lost.
You almost pulled it off. And then last but not least, we have Boston Bulldogs,
Ya loser.
who had a tough go this week with Breece Hall putting up only 3.8, which was 13.85 points shy of his projection.
Woof.
And then Dalton Kincaid, who put up 9.7, which was 0.31 over his projection. You still fell way shy with 13.5 points under your projected on your keepers.
We're all losers.
We all lost. Again. It's really tough. What do we do? How do we win?
Go back in time and draft better teams.
Well, I just have to switch my lineup and I would have won.
Well, you'd still start the wrong people, so yeah.
It's all right. I feel like I'm one level above your team right now just because the bench is looking dirty.
At the end of the day, I have a top score in the league and you don't, so I feel like I'm one step ahead of you.
I have the top scoring bench probably ever.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well,
That's probably a good bet.
I'll spend this week looking at it and we'll revisit real fast. We don't have to spend too much time on it.
I have a feeling if you look at it, I'm probably going to be top bench again.
Yeah.
Just because that's my
Top,
luck.
you'll probably have 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn it, man. Why do we always dominate the sucky stats, you know? Oh, God.
Probably because we're losers.
Losers. Loser of the week. Your hosts. Moving along.
Straight out.
3 and out. We're back. And we're
Did
here
we
to
go
talk.
somewhere?
Yeah. We left mentally for a moment.
Ah.
We called ourselves losers. We sat for a second, thought about it, and
Commiserated.
we're back. It literally only took 2 seconds. So we're gonna talk about some trade away, trade for, and straight drop candidates, and then go to the trading block and see what's going on. As Pascal's picking something out of his teeth, I guess I'll
It's a
start.
tooth. I mean, a tooth. It's a hair. Picking a tooth out of my tooth.
Damn, dude, you're picking your tooth out. You really
Got
must
like
have some
I
tradeaways.
got like a beard here in between
Oh,
my
that's
teeth
the worst.
somehow.
Yeah. Gotta stop kissing Nas.
Apparently, it's my own ass.
I'll start with our tradeaways this week.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna throw two quarterbacks at you for two completely different reasons.
Okay.
So my first trade away is Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomie.
They're winning. They're a good team. They're not playing great, but they're winning. But Patrick Mahomes is following suit of what he did last year. Very underwhelming fantasy performances. You don't have to be a good fantasy player to win games unless they're fantasy games. So just keep that in mind. You're probably not going to need to keep Mahomes. There's guys on the waiver wire that will outperform him for the rest of the season, especially with his lack of weapons and the loss of Rice.
There's a reason why streaming QBs is a valid approach to your fantasy team.
Breaking news. The Raiders have just announced that they are open to Davante Adams trades.
Whoa.
Yeah, which is a complete
Whoa.
flip as to what they said earlier this morning.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
So keep
I
that in
am
mind.
going to be pissed off if the Bills and the Raiders gift the Chiefs Xavier Worthy and Davante Adams all in one season. I'm going to be pissed.
I think he might go to LA to the Chargers.
I mean, I would imagine there's a good chance, based off of what he's said in the past, that he could go to the Saints, right? He wanted to play with Derek Carr the entire time anyway.
That'd be cool. That'd be
or
nice.
to the Commanders, because he's been talking up Jaden Daniels this whole time also.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I think that you've got to put those pretty high up on your betting sheet if you're a betting man.
I'll tell you where he doesn't want to go. Baltimore, because they don't throw the ball. So let's go along and move along. That's pretty cool news for Colin especially. My other trade away candidate would be Jaden Daniels, because he's great. Don't get me wrong. He's going to perform. As long as he stays healthy, he will be a QB1.
You said
he
the
will
key
be a
right
top.
there, though. As long as he stays healthy.
Yes, as long
That
as he
boy
stays
is built
healthy.
like a twig.
This is not the reason I'm putting him as a trade away as opposed to a trade for. I'm putting him as a trade away because right now you will get the bag for him. You will get top performing fantasy players and probably a few of them
He's
for
probably
Jaden
at his
Daniels.
peak value right now.
Exactly. So
And
If-
plus, as we get into the colder months, the running quarterbacks have less effectiveness.
true.
And as he puts more film on tape, defenses should be able to defend him better.
True. And
So there is a chance that this is the peak of his earning power.
there's also the element of the elements.
Excuse me.
Bad weather games are more common as the winter
And they're an outdoor
comes.
team, so
So yeah, so if you want to improve your team elsewhere, Aggie, after this week, even though you got the W, it looks like you might need.
what team is he again?
Oh, I fucks your mom.
Oh, right, I fucked your mom.
Hopefully he changes it so we don't have to ever say it again. I'll say it if you promise to change your name, Aggie. I'll say it every episode. But you don't even
Yeah.
listen.
He just has to promise and not actually do it.
Pinky swear maybe.
Ah.
Digital Zoom call. Pinky swear would do.
All right, so my trade away candidate is one of your players. It's Brian Thomas Jr.
That is my player. Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost forgot because he was buried somewhere outperforming everyone on my bench.
I think he put up 21 points
Yeah,
this week.
9 targets.
And it looks like you might not be starting him next week because you do have some other guys that might be more worthy of the start. And because he's playing well and because you drafted him
late.
late,
He's a great
he's
keeper.
he's a good keeper option.
Great.
And yes, I see you trying to build up his trade value.
Especially when the Jaguars draft a quarterback in the first round next year.
Ooh, not happening.
Yeeks.
But so I just feel like he probably has pretty good value right now. You have the double up, you have good production as well as good keeper value. You might be able to turn him into a legitimate starter, maybe at running back, maybe at wide receiver, maybe a wide receiver 3 and a tight end 1. Who knows? Something like that. I think you've got options.
Thank you for that.
Now, for my trade 4,
I just saw it.
if you're looking for someone to trade for, I suggest you go no further than to look at Brendan's entire bench. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're looking at his bench from last week, but probably you're better off at looking at whoever is on his bench this week. Because whoever is on his bench this week will likely be a game winner for your game this week. So just look at whoever Brendan is not starting this week, and that is a good person to trade for.
My team is deep with a shallow face. So my trade for candidates would be two incredible players. One being Brian Robinson Jr. I mean, this guy is getting the work. He is on a team that is outperforming any of the projections that anyone have put on them this year.
I saw something on Twitter saying those guys in your league who accidentally drafted Brian Robinson instead of Bijan Robinson are really happy right now.
Yeah, that's funny. When you said Brian Thomas, I thought Brian Robinson, that's like how common name dudes named Brian with like a regular old last name just haven't stuck with me yet. Clearly the guy's been on my bench. Anyways, but Brian Robinson is just getting the ball. He's a workhorse back. He's crushing it. I know Eckler was out this week, and Eckler does have some claim in this offense, but this offense
Very
is
little,
rolling.
though.
Yeah. I mean, he is taking away a little bit of passing work, but Brian Robinson's still breaking 20s, with that.
Yeah.
The guy is just somebody you want if you're looking for a running back, somebody you want to offer high value weapons for. So offer those trades. Next we have Cooper Kupp.
Okay.
Cooper Kupp, Sean has Cooper Kupp. He's out. He's going to be back before Puka.
Maybe not that far before Puka, though, because if Kupp is looking at week 7, week 8, Puka could be back around week 8. So this is not a bad idea for a trade.
In that case, it gives Sean more incentive to get rid of one of them. It's good to have them both, but if you could turn one of them into another premier receiver on another team, so you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, that's kind of a effective way to keep winning.
Less exposure to one team.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, I would be wondering, though, is there any reason for Sean to trade away Cooper? I feel like whatever he'd get back would kind of be pennies on the dollar compared to what he'll actually produce when he does come back.
Well, that's why I have him as a trade for candidate, because the value is extreme.
Yeah.
And you don't have to give as much
and
as
I guess
you would
Sean
if he was
has
starting.
to be wary of the fact that Cooper could get re-injured.
Of course.
He's older. Who knows how long it'll take him to get back up to speed.
And like
there's
you
a lot
said,
of risk there. Yeah.
If Puka comes back around the same time, it's like you're getting Cooper back as well, in a way.
I don't know. They both put up legit numbers.
That's
week
true.
1,
They
so.
could both dominate together, but it would be smart if Sean, sees if there's a trade that he can work out to benefit from getting rid of one of those guys. Or
So,
Puka.
If that's who you would trade for and who you'd trade away, who would you drop?
Oh, I would drop Carson Steele. Straight drop,
Whoa.
without question.
Hold on. I feel attacked.
Yeah. It's not that you have him on your team. It's that he...
Is it the negative points he put up this week?
It's honestly not even that. It's just the fact that he fumbled away his opportunity. So yeah, I guess the negative points come from the fumble. Kareem Hunt dominated the backfield.
I think he had like 60% of the touches.
Exactly, and he just re-signed with that team. He's been away for a while, and he wasn't on a team, so he's not that great, and he could be outperformed by any of these guys. But think about it. You've got Samaje Perine, Carson Steele, Kareem Hunt, and the impending return of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who has an opportunity here and may very well come back and dominate. Who knows?
Yeah, I won't lie to you. Carson Steele will not be on my team next week.
Yeah, so I
There
figured.
is
I mean,
no doubt.
he's a straight drop. And who's your straight drop?
My whole team.
So Carson Steele and everyone else?
All right, I'm gassing a little bit. Obviously, I'm not dropping Devontae. I'm not dropping, CeeDee Lamb. But I am just so disappointed with my squad. I thought that I was going to have a good squad. After I put up the top points in week 1. I was feeling happy. Week 2, I lost, but still put up 140 something. You know, I was feeling good. These last 2 weeks, though, have been Keyshawn Booty.
Yeah, I feel you.
Just, you know, luckily I don't derive my pleasure in life from what happens to my fantasy team, because if I did, I would be feeling real bad, like some other members of our league who I will not mention names on.
I derive a lot of my anger from fantasy football, which is not good.
Yeah, no,
my
fantasy
joy
for me
comes
is a
from
way
other
to
places.
keep in touch with buddies that otherwise I might not keep in touch with as regularly.
Yeah, it's definitely
so
a great way for that.
the
for
wins
sure.
feel good, but the losses are kind of whatever. It's something to make fun of on the pod.
Yeah, my wins feel great. My losses feel great in the opposite direction.
So, no, I wouldn't drop my whole team, but yeah, some of those motherfuckers need to go into the waiver wire.
Well, all right. Well, that brings us to the trading block. Instead of straight dropping your whole team, why don't you work out some
So,
trade opportunities?
I would be willing to trade Rashad White and Jalen Waddle.
Those are great players to put on the trading block.
Yeah, not going to get a ton for Rashad White, but he has an opportunity to put up points. He should average double digits. So as a RB3, he holds some value. And Bucky Irving didn't do great either.
He also had an injury last week, but he played.
Yeah, he played. He got the touchdown, but Rashad White ended up with a big run through, running up the middle, which he wasn't doing. So it's going to be tough to pick between the two.
And Baker Mayfield vultured a touchdown, didn't he?
Yeah,
So-
and I mean they're looking like a passing team anyway. So Rashad White might be the more valuable RB because he's the passing back, but he's on the block. And Jalen Waddle, he'll do better once Tua comes back.
That's
so
the value right there. Yeah, of course.
I think that he still holds value, but for the next 3 weeks until Tua does come back, it's not looking so great. So
You might need to trade him out on a little bit of a discount because you already have Devon Achane on a Miami
Yeah, I
team
know.
that is underperforming
I
strong.
know. And I was thinking about maybe offering Jalen Waddle straight up for T. Higgins. I think a trade like
That's a great trade. That is
I
really
think a
good.
trade like that might have some value. I'm just thinking about whether I really want to do it, but yeah, those are my guys.
All right. Well, to let you guys know, I am always open for trades. Send them my way. Want to let you know about a few other teams, and then just get into a quick trade offer that I declined this week. So Marv is putting up Chuba Hubbard. We want to make that announcement more clear. Chuba Hubbard, another 20-plus point performance. He does have the impending return of the rookie, Jonathan Brooks, so we don't know how that will pan out. However, he is dominating. Since Andy Dalton came in, he has become a force to be reckoned with. I'm surprised Marv doesn't have him in his starting lineup, and wouldn't be surprised if he did this week. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Anyways,
Mostly.
so Longfellow also, quite like Pascal, shopping his entire team. He did say this last week before he won this week, so I'm sure he's changed his mind a little bit and tweaked his
Surprisingly,
idea.
he said no to my offer of Rashad White for Christian McCaffrey. I don't know why that would be.
Well, yeah, that was a bold offer. Just so you know, Baltimore tight end duo is up, single or combo, for a bag of chips.
Now, I did offer Rashad White back when there was a chance C-Mac would be out the entire season. So now that his outcome is looking better, it makes sense that he didn't make that trade.
Yeah. I'm glad he didn't, because we don't need you having CMC. All right, so
Don't hate.
so Longfellow hit me with this trade. He knows I love Mike Evans, and he incorporated him in this trade, which, thank you, Mike.
Smart man.
Thank you so much. I love Mike Evans. He's one of those players that, has a little bit more zazz when you offer a trade to me. So what we're looking at is Longfellow offered me Mike Evans, Washington's kicker. We don't even have to add that, but we did. And
I think that was based off of last week's pod, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was, yeah. And Tutu Atwell. Okay, so
Okay,
that's
not bad value.
Yeah, I mean,
Tutu is an okay person to have on the bench.
so 2 wide receivers, a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 5. All right.
Valid.
And he was asking for Daniel Carlson, my kicker, saying that his kicker was better and trying to put some value.
Trying to trade kickers?
Yeah, he was saying,
All right.
oh, because Cyber has more value, so he's trying to like pull that angle, but that doesn't really work with me. And then he wanted Ramondre Stevenson and Kenneth Walker. Now let's erase.
Oh, you're bugging.
Let's erase this week's value of Kenneth Walker. He was injured when he
Yeah,
offered this,
no,
so
you're bugging.
so it's clear that he was asking for an injured running back and a running back that's underperforming.
You're asking for 2 starting running backs,
Exactly.
both of whom, or at least Ramondre gets a lot of targets also. And this was before he fumbled for
These
the 4th
guys-
time in a row.
these
You're
guys are
asking for
workhorses.
2 starting running backs
Exactly.
in running offenses for a starting wide receiver who has another wide receiver
Yeah,
one on his team,
exactly.
and a wide receiver 5.
Yeah,
don't know,
Mike,
bro.
the way you could fix that trade would be to offer me 2 starting wide receivers, but I can't offer 2 running backs up. I have 5 on my team.
Yeah,
I
that
like
doesn't make
depth.
sense.
You've seen my bench, how it performs. I need depth. I don't rock with that ghost seller with no, like when bye weeks come, I'm putting these running back 3s on my team. That's not how I
Yeah,
operate.
I mean, if you look at this week in a vacuum, sure, you have 2 starting running backs. You can get rid of 2 running backs, but that's not how fantasy works. Kenneth Walker has missed significant time every year. DeAndre Swift was a bust up until this week.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just give up your 2 starting running backs just on a whim like that. That'd be
And
malpractice.
I appreciate the offer, Mike, and I had to decline it, and I started crafting like a rebuttal. But to be honest with you, if you need running backs, start with 1. Okay, I can't give you 2 running backs if you're not going to offer me a starting running back with the package. Okay, it has to be. You have to look at each team and see that you're not devaluing a team. Every team that is involved in a trade needs to have a boost of value and not lose out. So if you're looking for a running back, don't look for somebody that doesn't have running backs. If you're looking for a wide receiver, don't and you ask somebody who has a ton of wide receivers, don't offer them a wide receiver. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Or if you're looking for a wide receiver, don't try to get 2 or 3 of them. Get 1 wide receiver, maybe toss in one of your like a bench running back, and then try to get,
Or a go for somebody's best wide receiver and their worst, and then offer your best running back and like a mediocre receiver or something like that.
exactly.
So you have to look at the value that you're getting and that the other person's getting. When you're making a trade, you want to look at both teams, and if you put yourself in those shoes, you could say, "Oh yeah, this is beneficial."
Yeah, pay attention to the roster, not just what the strict value is.
And quick, Mike also offered me a trade yesterday, which was much more appealing, but I probably would have declined it just because I think he's asking for a little too much. He offered me Terry McLaurin, who's shining, and Rashid Shaheed, who is a home run hitter or a dud. So I know he has value. I'm not gonna shit on him because he had a goose last week. He gets targets. He has those home run abilities. Terry McLaurin's starting to look really good. He wanted Michael Pittman, who sucked all year, and I was trying to get rid of. He got tons of targets this week. It may be because the quarterback situation. And then he also asked for Kenneth Walker. This is after his 3 touchdown performance. You know that value skyrocketed, bro. I'm going to need Mike Evans and Terry McLaurin if you want Michael Pittman and Kenneth Walker. That's the type of trade I would be more into accepting.
Yeah, that would be a little overvalued from his side. Rashid Shaheed is legit, even though he put up a goose. Pittman, he might do well with Flacco, but Anthony Richardson's coming back, so he's got to be like a wide receiver 4 maybe right now.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm still willing to trade Pittman for sure. I'm offering out any of my running backs. I have good value, bad value. Just give me a good trade, and we'll see if it could get accepted. So yeah, I did ask Mike's permission if I could mention these trade offers on the podcast. Otherwise, it would be wrong for me to just throw people's offers out. Those are private. So if anyone has any offers that they want to have brought up on the podcast, please bring it up to us. We would love to dissect them week after week. So yeah, man. That kind of handles the entire three and out segment, and we'll move along to freshman football. So Pascal, give us the rundown. Top 10, top 3.
All right. So this week, Marvin Harrison Jr. put up 15.5. Malik Neighbors, 23.1.
Oh,
Xavier Worthy, 16.3. Keon Coleman, 8.1. Rome Odunze, 2.
ouch.
Lad McConkey, 17.7.
Good job, lad.
Jaden Daniels, 24.2.
Beast.
Trey Benson, 5.
Eh.
Blake Corum, 0.
Again?
Brian Thomas Jr., 21.9.
Monster.
Caleb Williams, 11.48. And Brock Bowers, 5.1.
Ooh.
Our top scores amongst rookies. In number 3, we had Brian Thomas Jr., 21.9.
Nice.
In second place, we had Malik Neighbors, 23.1.
Again?
He's gotten second place 3 weeks in a
times.
row.
Yep.
And Jaden Daniels, our top scoring rookie again, with 24.2.
It's looking like a great pick.
Yeah.
Can't wait to dissect him.
Yeah.
But today's freshman football feature will expose Xavier Glenn Worthy. So Xavier Worthy is a very interesting player in the league this year. We've already gone through the top 3 wide receivers that were drafted in the NFL. We've gone through Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, and now Xavier Glenn Worthy. Xavier Worthy stands at 5'11", 165. So he's a little bit taller than Mike Longfellow and a little bit heavier. But Mike, you can make the NFL. Born in Fresno, California, he attended Central East High School in Fresno. And he went to Texas and played along with the Longhorns. He was the Big 12 Freshman of the Year in 2021 and Offensive Player of the Year, which is badass. The first team Big 12 in 2021 and in 2023, and the second team Big 12 in 2022. Now, just fell off a little, but still a top player. To be second team is still a beast. The Kansas City Chiefs drafted him first round, 28th overall. So he made the cut on day 1. And Pascal actually drafted him in the 6th round, 75th overall. Very nice pick. His stats, week 1, he caught 2 for 3 for 47 yards and a touchdown, and ran 1 for 21 yards and a touchdown, putting on 20.8 fantasy points. Week 2, however, only 2 for 4 for 17 yards, 1 carry for 5 yards, 4.2 fantasy points. Week 3, 2 for 4 again for 17 yards again.
Yeah,
3
pretty
rushes.
boomer bust lately.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's rushing the ball. He had 3 rushes for 13 yards that week for 5 fantasy points. And this week, 3 for 4, 73 yards and a touchdown, no rushes for 16.3 fantasy points. So I would say Xavier Worthy is one of those boom bust players. Much more accented by the ability to run because he's fast. So you wouldn't see him get a goose like Gabe Davis, it's like goose or 20.
Yeah, and now that Rashee is down, hopefully he'll start getting more targets.
Yeah,
we'll see.
but he's got to hit the home run. He's like Aaron Judge. He's got to hit it. Then again, no, he's like Giancarlo Stanton. He's got to hit the home run or he's not hitting anything at all.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. He's a rookie. We'll see if he can get up to speed.
Yeah, very, very interesting season so far, though, to say the least. Kind of it's similar to Rome Odunze's up and down performances.
No. Rome has been down. He had one good week.
One
and
really
the
good
rest,
week.
And the rest is just bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are Rome's numbers? He's got 2 points, 5 points, 23 points, and 2 points. Not too good, folks.
Okay. I agree with you. I'd say Xavier's got a little more value. So that will bring us to the Market Watch. The numbers are crunching, going up and down. And we have a few players to mention on the Market Watch. And we'll let you know if they're going up or down.
So for me, I've got a couple with their stocks rising. Tank Bigsby looks like he might have taken the starting spot from Travis Etienne.
Early in the game, it certainly looked that way.
Yeah, this was something that I predicted and then proceeded to drop Tank Bigsby when he didn't produce. Kudos to Colin, I believe, for picking him up.
Kudos.
But that one's going to be tough because the Jaguars aren't very good anyway.
And Etienne kind of ate his way back into that game.
Yeah, we'll see. Etienne, if anything, they're probably going to be splitting work. So we'll see how that plays out.
Kind of like a Rashad White, Bucky Irving situation.
And then I've got Dontavian Wicks, another guy who I had and then dropped.
I saw that.
But with Jordan Love's return and Christian Watson's injury, they need pass catchers, and he has the ability to put up numbers.
All of them do. Romeo Dobbs, what's the Jordan Reed? I think he's the number one. And then
Jordan Reed's definitely the number one right now.
And Dontavian Wicks had like 13 targets this week or 14.
Yeah, something ridiculous.
Absurd. All right, well, I'd like to talk about Josh Downs.
Nice.
Colin scooped him up.
A guy you've been mentioning
waivers
for a few weeks.
Yeah, I have him in Jay's league, and he has been performing better and better every week. He matched Michael Pittman's target share and outperformed him this week, actually.
Nice, good for you, Josh.
Pittman's best week, and Josh Downs came in and said, "Hold my Gatorade."
Ooh.
So Josh Downs' stock is going up. And want to talk about Xavier Legette.
I like Legette.
The Carolina Panthers receiver. The Red Rocket, Andy Dalton, has changed everything in Carolina. A simple quarterback change has changed everything, leading me to believe that the second-year quarterback being surprised by being benched.
Bryce Young.
Yeah, you're not, dude. There's something to be said. You know, I mean, you gotta play better.
Now, I feel like this is one that goes into the sit your QB till he's ready category. Doesn't matter if you're the number one overall pick or not. If you're not ready to go, you're not ready to go, and the team is better off not succumbing to the whims of an impatient fan base, and make sure that your draft investment pans out.
Sorry, man. If you take the ham out of the freezer and let it thaw out, you can't put it back in the freezer.
Good point.
So, and then we'll talk about a little bit more. Totally lost my place, but Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers, and Rashad Bateman, and any other Ravens receivers, your stock is going down and it's crashing. It's like it's terrible. It's
not
terrible.
Looking good, folks.
No, it's not.
Especially since normally the passing numbers are higher at the beginning of the season and start to go down as the weather gets colder. What's going to happen in Baltimore when it starts snowing?
The Great Depression will show again.
At least for fantasy. Yeah. Because they'll probably keep winning, but you won't.
I hope they don't.
So, for my stocks falling, I've got the Cowboys offense and defense. The Cowboys are just looking bad.
Yeah.
And it looks even worse barely beating the Giants, because we all know the Giants are competing for the number one overall pick.
They should have lost.
So that is just not good. And then Patrick Mahomes. Man, what's going on, Mahomie? Like, you got your dad bod rocking. You got a good offense. I mean, I know guys are getting hurt, but he's really just not performing like everyone expects him to. Josh Allen is far and away the number one QB in the league this year. I mean, what's the deal? Is he going to come back? Is he going to get better by the end of the season?
I don't think so. Your superstar tight end is matching your dad bod, hanging out, going out, drinking.
Yeah, too much time with the Swifties.
Yeah, and all the other time he spends, with his brother on his podcast. And
yep.
I mean, he's got a lot going on.
Maybe that's what it is. He's lost his focus, and he's older now, so you can't afford to lose that focus like that.
He's got enough rings, and
true.
Probably get another ring for someone else.
Ugh, I hope not. I mean, I kind of like
it'll probably happen. Anyways, I'll tell you who's not in this next segment. Travis Kelce.
Sly as a fox.
Hey.
All right, guys, the Sly as a Fox move of the week. I think I'll start this.
Go for it, buddy.
So my Sly as a Fox, I thought about this. There's definitely, Pascal and I, we talk prior to the episode and we share most information, but not everything. So some stuff is actual like reactions and hilarity. So Pascal's runner-up, or his choice, I'm not exactly sure how he's going to put it, was my choice. I had to switch gears and chose a really nice path to go.
Don't toot your own horn or anything.
I'm tooting it. I'm going to actually toot Babalu's horn.
Hey,
Toot, toot.
Baba.
Babalu. Yo, Babalu. Drafting Derrick Henry in the first round is looking like a great move. Congratulations. He's the number 3 running back right now behind Kamara and Saquon.
Wow.
So Frank Mahin, you can join the Sly as a Fox move. We're going to give you
Frankie.
a shout out, keeping the number 1 running back. We'll see how it unfolds as the season moves along, but so far, Babalu, Derrick Henry is the first overall pick. Was a great choice this year, but not the last 2, but this year.
Kudos. Well
Kudos
done,
to you,
Baba.
man.
All right, so my Sly is a Fox. I got to give it to Marvellis. I mean, I know he tooted his own horn in the chat, but picking up Justin Fields this week was outstanding. And you started him.
Would you say it was...
Sly as a Fox. Yeah, definitely. Fields put up 31 points in a loss. I still don't think he's a good quarterback, but
Great
it
fantasy
doesn't matter.
quarterback.
It doesn't matter.
He's a great
fantasy quarterback.
He's the number 6 quarterback in fantasy right now
and
overall.
I highly doubt that he's going to lose his job to Russell Wilson, which means that the Steelers will be on the hook for a 2nd-round pick to the Bears. Can they get more high draft picks? This is ridiculous.
Oh, the
They're
Bears?
just getting blessed. But kudos to Ryan Poles. He's doing his thing. A true fan of the pod, Marvellis made sure we had this move on our radar by bringing attention to his Sly move in the chat. So
Thanks for that, Marv.
honestly, at first I was like, ain't no way I'm giving you credit after you toot your own horn in the chat. But then I thought about it a little more and I was like, you know what? That's actually a good idea. So guys, if you feel like you made a Sly move, if you feel like there's something that we need to point out on the pod, bring it up in the chat.
And if Pascal missed it or said, nah, I don't want you to toot your own horn, I would have given you the Sly as a Fox. That was my pick as well. So
Yeah, I'm kind of a hater sometimes. I won't lie.
no discredit to Babalu or Frank, but Marv, great pickup. Great
Kudos. You deserve all the foxiness this week.
All
now,
the flowers.
I do want to say I have an honorable mention.
Oh, who would that be?
Yeah.
Would it be
So-
Babalu or
No.
Would it be
no.
Colin? Would it
no,
be
no.
Billy?
Well, Colin's 0-4. There are no Sly moves on his roster.
I gave him the Josh Downs after week 1. That
Yeah,
was
but unfortunately he was on the bench.
It's
so.
all right. He will be in a starting lineup soon. You'll
No, my honorable mention goes to Captain Cannabis,
Oh.
Sean Dennehy.
see. All right. And why is
And
this?
he gets it for religiously listening to the podcast and by using his inside knowledge against our amazing host, me, to log his first win of the year. Welcome to the win column, Sean.
Congratulations, Sean.
And thank you for being such a great fan of the pod.
Yeah, we really appreciate all of our listeners, and we couldn't do this without you guys being there to listen and tune in to our fantasy football podcast.
Yeah,
It's been fun. It's been fun,
Yeah, I'm
and we're
having
gonna
fun
keep
so
it going. I mean, it takes a lot of work to do this, guys. I really appreciate the time you put into taking out of your day to listen to us. So, thanks to all of you.
And my ego needs stroking. So every time I see a new view on YouTube, it just gives me a little tingle down under.
Like in your feet. That might be
Yeah,
a circulation
sure.
problem.
I know. I was talking to my doctor about that. It's kind of a problem.
All right, guys, we're moving on to game plan.
plan.
Game plan this week, we want to discuss bye weeks. Bye weeks are happening starting this week.
Eee.
Welcome. Bye weeks are ugly.
It's kind of trash that they have that the NFL starts bye weeks in week 5. Like that is a huge disadvantage to those teams or the ones that have their bye week at the end of the season.
It's
because
very
now
true.
you have another 14 weeks of football without a break. And that's whack.
It is very whack. The bye weeks actually go from week 5 to 13 this year. So be prepared. I believe week 13 is the biggest bye week, the bye-apocalypse, some would call it.
Oh, no.
Where most, I think maybe 6 teams or more are on bye, and that takes a lot of
ridiculous.
Takes a lot of value out.
Yeah.
And
like particular people, if you have doubled or tripled up on any of your positions, in other words, if you have 3 players from the same team, make sure you are ready for that bye week because it's going to be tough for you to find capable starters in their place.
Very true, yeah. Usually Scott with the 49ers, Colin with the Bengals this year.
Bengals, yeah.
Some big deals. So a couple things on bye weeks. The main thing is to plan ahead. All right, especially with your 1Z positions, with your quarterback, tight end, kicker, defense. You don't have to worry so much about kicker or defense. You could just pick one up.
Just stream them.
Yeah, exactly. Stream it. But if you do have a dominant kicker or a dominant defense, especially a dominant defense, come bye week, you want to keep that player, keep that defense, if you can, and stream a team for 1 week. Don't hold them all year. It's a waste of space.
Also, keep in mind, you don't have to play a defense. So if all the options are teams that are likely to get blown out, you don't want negative points.
It's very rare that you won't play a defense, but it is true. You don't have to because they could get negative points. But just keep in mind, you don't have to roster a second defense all season for your 1 bye week unless you have the rare opportunity.
Nor a second kicker, Mike Longfellow.
Yeah, you don't want to waste your roster space on a 1 week plug-in. In many cases, in almost every case, it's not worth it unless you have you ended up with 2 premier defenses that have kind of like a cycling schedule. Like, in week 5, this defense plays the Panthers, and then week 6, the other defense plays the Panthers, or a really bad offense, or the Dolphins, or whatever. You might find yourself, cycling a defense in and out of your bench, but typically you want to just stream those positions. Tight end, quarterback, it's a little better to make sure you prepare ahead to have your guy rostered on your team. My team, for example, I have Kyler Murray. His bye week is 12. I actually just dropped Jared Goff because I needed space, and I'm not going to hold Jared Goff for 12 weeks or play him for the first 11 weeks unless Kyler gets hurt. Then I would be like, oh, great, I have Jared Goff.
Or if Kyler starts playing like he did this week.
That's very true. I mean, he started the game nice, and then he got shut down. I mean, it was the Washington defense is serious. I mean, they're a under the radar defense.
Yeah, apparently.
But just to be back, you want to make sure you're playing properly, streaming kickers and defense for bye weeks.
Even stream your quarterback if you need to.
Yeah, and the only time you ever should have 2 kickers or defenses is when you have a great one and they're on bye.
The other thing you need to make sure to look out for is players that are on different teams but play the same position and have the same bye week.
Yes.
Now, hopefully, when you were going through your draft, you're paying attention to what bye weeks people were at, and you didn't draft 2 top running backs with the same bye week. But sometimes it happens, and especially as we get into the season and you start replacing people with waiver pickups, just make sure that 2 of your starters in the same position aren't on the bye week at the same time, because that becomes really tough.
It brings up the point that you should always have depth. You should always have depth. You shouldn't draft based on bye week when it comes to running back or wide receiver, because you should have depth. You should have plenty of wide receivers and running backs.
So you're saying I'm wrong?
No, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm going to point something out that Colin and I usually, like after the draft, we always laugh about this. Somebody drafted 2 quarterbacks with the same bye week. This year,
man.
Colin drafted Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, who share the same bye week. And he told me a few days later, like, I totally messed this up. And I was like, you know what, dude?
Luckily for him, Trevor Lawrence is Kayshon Boutte.
Yeah, he is bad, which he's already dropped him, I'm sure. But it's just funny to laugh at that because he's laughed at so many of your teams, guys, and then he pulled it himself this year. But it's fixable. Just keep your mind.
So you're giving everyone added incentive to beat Colin, letting them know that he laughs at everyone else's teams every year.
He does, especially the following teams.
Ooh.
I'm just kidding. All right, guys. So that's the game plan for the week. So thanks for playing and moving along.
Parallel universe.
Okay, guys. The parallel universe has arrived. In the parallel universe, I guess it came back again. I hope it doesn't keep playing on loop. So this week in the parallel universe, just want to mention the Lion's Den. Just a quick rule that's a little bit different from our league that I kind of enjoy in some scenarios. Quarterbacks lose a point every time they get sacked. Now,
interesting.
This is a very good situation if you really want fantasy to kind of follow reality. Like if a team is getting beat up on the line and a quarterback that runs a lot gets sacked a few times, he's losing points. If he gets sacked 8 times, that's a touchdown and 2-point conversion, or 2 quarterback touchdowns. That's a big deal. Another thing that it brings up in my mind is something that I've always thought that we should do, and I don't think the NFL platform is capable of doing, but every time a quarterback gets sacked, I think you should lose the yards. Because if you're gaining the yards for quarterbacks rushing, they should lose the yards if they get sacked and lose yards. It makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
Instead of losing a whole point, if you get sacked for 5 yards, you should lose 5 rushing yards. That's just straight up the way it should be.
Yeah.
You can't argue that. And if you do, put it in the chat and we'll talk about it next week.
But I'm pretty sure that's how it goes, though, because I've definitely lost.
It doesn't.
I lost a game last year from kneel downs.
Only kneel downs are different. It's not a sack. Kneel down is not a sack. It counts as lost yards on a run.
Yeah, that's so dumb.
A sack, they do not lose the yards, and they do not. In Jay's league, they lose a point, but it brought that to my mind. They should lose points for the yards they lose.
Yeah, for sure.
Yo, if Lamar Jackson runs for 100 yards but gets sacked for 18, I want him to score 84, not 100.
No, that's valid. They definitely
Very
should.
valid. So, and then in the parallel universe, the other league that we cover would be the Family League. Just a quick note, Great White, my wife, Julia, survived the Kenneth Walker 3-touchdown, 33-point performance
Okay, sure.
last night, and she was saved by the 70-yard Jameson Williams touchdown.
Wow.
She ended up winning by 9, but it really came down to that play.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Well
Now you're ahead of me in the rankings. Thanks, baby.
like pretty much everyone else.
I'm in 6th place. Half the league.
All right.
I'm in 4th, 6th, and in our league 10th. Damn, it hurts.
I'm in 11th, and 11th because I'm in one league.
Damn,
and I'm
dude.
in 11th.
Damn, how many wins were you projected this year?
A fair amount.
More than my 3 leagues?
Yes.
Damn. Oh, man. You gotta hate it, but you gotta love it.
All right.
Which will bring us to the close, guys. Unless, Pascal, do you have anything for the parallel universe today?
No, the punter league is still going. I've asked for updates and they don't respond.
They
because
ignore you?
I'm some random person on Twitter.
All right, this is what we're going to do next week. We're going to get everyone that listens to our podcast to write to these guys with the same questions to see if maybe a little force.
I have
create some action.
gotten other random people on Twitter co-signing my request to follow the league. So I'm disappointed that we haven't gotten responses, but it's a punter league, so I don't think that you guys are overly disappointed.
We do want to know more. We want all of the information.
Inquiring minds want to know?
We do.
Oh, all right, I'll get on it.
So, bringing us to our close. Thanks for listening once again. we will bring you outside to the backyard and visit the
Dog house. That no.
I have
no.
only cats. They
You don't know what?
they act like dogs.
You don't know how dogs bark?
My dogs bark like.
Oh God. All right. You want to start? This
Yeah,
week,
you
or
know
want
what?
me to do it?
You know what? I'll start.
Go for it.
You know, I always have the same dog in the doghouse. So Aggie, I'm gonna let you out today, but this is not permanent. This is a 1 week deal.
Aggie's not in the doghouse this week.
No, he's there,
Oh,
but he
okay.
gets to go out in the yard and kind of like enjoy a little bit
taking
of the
him to
weather.
the park?
Yeah. No.
Nice.
I'm just letting him out in the shit covered yard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I, the East Coast virus,
At 2?
am in the doghouse this week, shitting on myself, barking none.
What kind of an owner is it to these fucking dogs letting them shit on himself?
Oh man, this is one of those disgusting backyards with a chain link fence that is tied together with twisty ties. There's no grass, tons of debris, pack rat status. I'm in the doghouse, man. I am in the doghouse for just being the worst decision maker this week. And I kind of thought to myself prior to the week starting that, don't even worry about it. Your team looks good. I think this is the best choice. And clearly we know I don't have to go any further in depth, but I think my bench put up 140.
It was 135.
It was
close.
135. Oh,
Yeah.
and it's just sad. And Aggie, can I have some of your kibble?
I think he'll share. So
Change your name, Aggie. Change your name.
this week, my female dog abode normally would have gone to myself for such a poor performance.
Join us.
However, we have a liar in our midst.
Who's that?
Sean Dennehy.
Oh, he had
Why,
to.
Sean? Why you gotta lie? We know that you are a fan of the pod. No one brings it up more than you do. No one has provided more feedback, which is making our pod better and more formidable each week. You don't got to lie, Sean. You don't got to lie. We know you love the pod. We know that you love hearing our sexy and sumptuous voices.
Hey, Sean.
Week in and week out. It's okay. We will not look down upon you. Tell the truth. Do better.
We love you, and we hate you at the same time.
It's a love-hate relationship.
But we will treat you with respect, as you are our animal.
Arf.
And I am also with you.
And honestly, I'm in the doghouse too, because
Yeah,
my
we-
team is K. Sean Booty. All right, this is the last time I'm saying it.
Yeah, we're going to have a mud party in the doghouse as you guys... thank you for listening. I mean, it's another 2-hour episode. This is
I know.
insane.
We actually tried to make this shorter, and
we
it's
made it longer.
The longest. Yeah,
There's a lot.
pathetic.
There's a lot to cover. And with that, always remember to set your waivers and thank you,
What? Bro.
everyone.
Yeah. and
And always remember to
put it in the air.
wait. Is that how we end it?
Yes.
Oh shit! Let's try it again. Always remember when setting your waivers to put it in the air.
Honestly, we should have been the only ones in the doghouse this week.
Yeah.
Our shit is mad long.
Yeah.
Right? We both scored under 100 points.
We both screwed up multiple times today.
Yeah. If it weren't for our amazing teammates or fantasy mates, I think it would have just been you and me.
Just mates,
Yeah.
but not in the doghouse because that gets a little dirty.
No bueno.
Wait. All right, yeah. Slow it back.
Yeah.
Should we start over?
Yeah, probably. I don't think this was worth putting
Oh,
up.
man. Well, I don't even know what else to say, guys. I have no idea.
Then stop talking. Listen to the music.
Okay.
It's the Pull It in the El podcast.
All right.
Oh, shout out to Seamus, right? For all the music, for all the
Seamus, you're the man.
Yeah, I don't think we ever gave him a shout out, so thank you, bro.
Much love, little brother.
All right, man, we are out. Damn it, again.
Yeah, you gotta remember that.